The cold seeped in first. Not a sharp, biting cold, but an insidious, creeping cold that wormed its way into my bones, a damp chill that clung to the skin like a shroud. The kind of cold that promised to stay, to burrow deep and linger long after the sun, if it ever decided to grace us with its presence, had dipped below the horizon. My teeth chattered a frantic rhythm against the silence of the forest, a lonely percussion in the vast, indifferent wilderness. My breath plumed out in ragged bursts, dissipating into the pre-dawn gloom like fleeting ghosts. Above, the sky was a canvas of bruised purples and inky blacks, a swirling vortex of impending rain. The air hung heavy with the scent of wet earth and decaying leaves, a primordial aroma that spoke of resilience and decay, of life and death intertwined. Each inhale was a reminder of my vulnerability, a stark contrast to the raw power of the nature that surrounded me. The ground was uneven, treacherous, a maze of tangled roots and hidden dips. My ankles screamed in protest with every step, a dull, persistent ache that echoed the deeper unease churning in my stomach. Hunger gnawed, a hollow emptiness that threatened to consume me from the inside out. And then the rain began. Soft at first, a gentle patter on the leaves, a whisper against the canvas of my poncho. But soon it intensified, growing into a relentless downpour, a cold, unforgiving deluge that soaked through every layer of clothing, turning my body into a shivering, waterlogged mass. Each drop felt like a tiny hammer blow, a constant reminder of the challenge that lay ahead. The world around me dissolved into a blurry, indistinct haze, a gray monochrome landscape that seemed to mock my every effort. I remember the first time I saw rain like this. Not here, not in this God-forsaken wilderness, but on the porch of my grandfather's cabin. He was whittling a piece of wood, a small, intricate bird taking shape beneath his calloused hands. The rain was a curtain around us, isolating us from the world, creating a sanctuary of warmth and shared silence. I was maybe 7, all elbows and knees and insatiable curiosity. He smelled of pipe tobacco and pine needles, a comforting, familiar scent that filled me with a sense of security. He never talked much, my grandfather. He was a man of few words, a stoic figure carved from the same granite as the mountains he loved. But his eyes, those clear, unwavering blue eyes, spoke volumes. They held a depth of experience, a quiet wisdom that transcended language. He'd fought in Korea, seen things no child should ever imagine. He rarely spoke of it, but sometimes, late at night, after a few too many glasses of whiskey, the memories would surface, etched onto his face like lines on a weathered map. I would sit beside him, listening in silence, sensing the weight of his burdens, the unspoken pain that haunted his dreams. He taught me how to fish, how to hunt, how to read the signs of the forest. He showed me how to build a fire with nothing but flint and steel, how to find my way using the stars, how to survive in the wilderness. But more than that, he taught me resilience. He instilled in me a quiet strength, an unwavering determination to never give up, no matter the odds. The wilderness, he'd say, his voice gravelly with age. It'll test you, boy. It'll break you if you let it. But if you stand your ground, if you face it head on, it'll make you stronger than you ever thought possible. I remember one time I'd fallen while hiking through the woods, scraping my knee raw. Tears streamed down my face, and I was ready to give up, to turn back and head home. But he wouldn't let me. He knelt beside me, cleaned the wound with water from his canteen, and bandaged it with a piece of cloth. Then he looked me straight in the eye, his gaze unwavering. "Pain is temporary, boy," he said, Quitting lasts forever. He helped me to my feet, and we continued on, slowly but surely, until we reached our destination. That lesson, more than any other, has stayed with me. He's gone now, my grandfather, but his spirit lives on, a guiding force that pushes me forward, even when I feel like I can't take another step. I close my eyes, and I can almost feel his hand on my shoulder, his voice whispering in my ear. Keep going, boy. You're stronger than you think. The rain continues to fall. The cold continues to bite. But I stand my ground. I will not break. I will not quit. I will survive. For him. Other times, they're just a vague sense of unease, a feeling of being lost and alone in a vast, unforgiving wilderness. But they're always there, lurking beneath the surface, a constant reminder of what we endured. I can still taste the metallic tang of fear on my tongue, the gritty feel of dirt ingrained in my skin. The smell of damp earth still brings back the chilling memory of that desperate struggle for survival. The world sees the seal, the warrior, the man who can overcome any obstacle. But they don't see the scars, the invisible wounds that linger long after the physical ones have healed. I find myself avoiding certain situations, certain environments that trigger those memories. Camping trips, hiking in the mountains, activities I once enjoyed now fill me with a sense of dread. The silence of the wilderness, once a source of peace and tranquility, now echoes with the voices of doubt and despair. Miller and I don't talk about it much. We don't need to. We understand each other in a way that no one else ever could. We share a silent language, a bond forged in the fires of shared trauma. We both carry the weight of that experience, the knowledge that we were pushed to the absolute limit, and that we somehow found the strength to keep going. But the weight is different for each of us. I see it in Miller's eyes sometimes, a lingering shadow of the darkness he faced. He's quieter now, more introspective. He throws himself into his work, pushing himself harder than ever before. I think he's trying to prove something, to himself more than anyone else, to prove that he's still the man he used to be, the man who wouldn't break. And me? I'm more cautious now. I analyze every situation, every risk, every potential threat. I'm always prepared for the worst, always anticipating the possibility of failure. It's a defense mechanism, a way of protecting myself from ever being pushed to that breaking point again. The mission changed us, irrevocably. It stripped away our illusions, our naivete, our sense of invincibility. It revealed the raw, primal core of our being, the part of us that is capable of both incredible resilience and unimaginable vulnerability. We emerged from the wilderness transformed, scarred, but ultimately stronger. We learned the true meaning of survival, not just in the physical sense, but in the emotional and spiritual sense as well. We learned that the greatest battles are not always fought on the battlefield, but within the confines of our own minds. And we learned that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, as long as we have the courage to keep fighting. The only way to truly lose is to give up. And that is simply not an option. The helicopter's blades churned the dawn air, a mechanical leviathan pulling us from the jaws of the wilderness. Below, the jungle shrunk, its emerald tapestry receding into a watercolor wash. I looked at my hands, calloused, scarred, and stained with the earth, and a strange sense of detachment washed over me. Was it real? Had I truly endured that crucible? The phantom pain of the leech bites still prickled my skin, and the taste of river water lingered on my tongue. Beside me, Reyes sat silently, his gaze fixed on the horizon. The lines etched around his eyes seemed deeper, the weight of his unspoken burdens heavier than ever. I wanted to say something, to bridge the gap that had grown between us, but the words caught in my throat. He had his own demons to wrestle. We all did. Back at the base, the debriefing was a blur of sterile lights and clipped voices. Questions about tactics, resourcefulness, and mental fortitude. I answered mechanically, reciting the events of the past week like a well-rehearsed script. But the truth, the raw, visceral truth, remained locked within me. The fear, the hunger, the loneliness, the fleeting moments of camaraderie, the crushing weight of responsibility. These were things that couldn't be quantified or analyzed. Later, after a hot shower that seemed to peel away layers of grime and exhaustion, I found myself standing before a mirror. The man staring back was gaunt, his eyes haunted. But there was something else there, too. A flicker of resilience, a spark of something forged in the fire. I traced the jagged scar on my arm, a permanent reminder of the python's grip, and a strange sense of gratitude washed over me. I had been broken, tested to my limits, but I had survived. The following days were a slow return to normalcy. The routine of training, the camaraderie of my teammates, the familiar comforts of civilization. But the jungle lingered in my dreams, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the indomitable spirit within. One evening, I found Reyes sitting alone on the pier, staring out at the ocean. The setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, a breathtaking spectacle of beauty and peace. I walked over and sat beside him, the silence stretching between us like a taut wire. Finally, he spoke, his voice barely a whisper. I saw him, my brother, in the jungle, when I was at my lowest. I didn't say anything, just listened. He told me to keep fighting, to not give up. Reyes paused, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. I thought I was doing this for him, for his memory. But I realized I'm doing it for myself, to prove that I'm strong enough, that I can overcome anything. I nodded, understanding dawning within me. We were all fighting our own battles, carrying our own burdens. The jungle had simply stripped away the facade, revealing the raw, vulnerable core beneath. You saved me out there, Alex, Reyes said, turning to face me. I know I haven't been the easiest to be around, but thank you. We saved each other, I replied, meeting his gaze. The animosity that had simmered between us had finally dissipated, replaced by a bond forged in the crucible of survival. Weeks later, I received a letter from Sarah. She wrote about her work at the clinic, the children she was helping, the hope she was bringing to a world filled with darkness. She didn't mention the mission or the fears we had both harbored. Instead, she wrote about the future, about the possibility of building a life together, a life filled with love and purpose. I closed my eyes, a wave of emotion washing over me. The jungle had taken so much, but it had also given me something invaluable, a renewed appreciation for life, a deeper understanding of myself, and a profound connection to the people I loved. The scar on my arm would always be there, a reminder of the darkness I had faced. But it would also serve as a symbol of my resilience, my strength, and my unwavering belief in the power of the human spirit. The mission was over, but the journey had just begun. The jungle had whispered its secrets, and I was finally ready to listen. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the pier. I stood up, took a deep breath, and walked towards the future, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that I was not alone.